To a CBS News New York investigation. A New Jersey father says that hackers took over the family's phones and accounts and even changed their home address. Now, months later, the nightmare still isn't over. Investigative reporter Mahsa Saeidi has more on what happened.
Somebody had hacked into my personal bank account, took money out and applied for a loan. They had applied for 18 credit cards. And my credit was stellar. They took over my Amazon account as well. Days and days and days of my life trying to get my identity back.
Dan doesn't want us to reveal his last name. He says in late September, his identity was stolen. Hackers seized not just financial accounts, but also his family's email addresses, cell phones, and landline.
You called your landline. What did they say exactly?
And said, this is Dan. And then we said, it can't be Dan, because I'm Dan.
Then packages started showing up.
This one came with Clorox.
Text messages, I'm watching you. Dan contacted police and the Federal Trade Commission, but he says the case is at a standstill.
Now, who was targeted first, you or your wife?
Simultaneously, believe it or not.
Day before the attack, Dan's wife got gas.
She said that the person took her credit card for an inordinate amount of time.
But he had also just purchased a camera made in China online.
As soon as I downloaded the app, in less than 24 hours, all hell broke loose. The worst thing about it right now is that in my credit file is a new address. I've been able to do as much as I can, but I really would need somebody to go up to that particular site, and that's why I thought of you.
We drove from Bridgewater to the new address in Jersey City.
Hello. Hi.
A package delivery store. We even tried calling the people threatening Dan's family, but didn't hear back.
I served about 7.5 years in prison, so think credit card theft, identity theft, you name it.
Former hacker Brett Johnson says it's unlikely crooks obtained Dan's info from the camera app or the gas station trip.
That's just simply a skimming attack right there.
Last year, the U.S. had more than 3,000 reported data breaches.
A complete identity profile these days ranges from $30 up to about $150, $180.
Johnson says he believes criminals bought Dan's information online, then hacked into his phone.
It's very easy to do a SIM swap online, so they make sure that the number is transferred to a prepaid device that they own instead of the phone that he actually owns that's in his pocket.
They have massive amount of information about us. Report spam.
Westchester Consumer Protection Director Jim Maisano educates seniors about identity theft. His biggest warning, don't click on links.
You click on the link, they have access to your phone.
They can get right into your phone, or they'll send you somewhere else to steal your identity.
Maisano says it can happen to anyone.
I work in the security business, and I'm just shocked at how easy it is for people to gather and steal your identity. So they're much smarter than we are.
Really tough situation. Now, Dan had purchased that camera I mentioned on Amazon. A spokesperson tells me they have restricted purchase of the product while they investigate. The Bridgewater Police Department didn't return our calls or emails, and the FTC says they're not able to comment, but they say if your identity is stolen, file a report with them.
You never, ever, ever think this can happen to you, but no one is immune to this. It's always a good idea to go over steps on how we can protect ourselves. So tell us about that.
Okay, so the simple advice is really the best advice. You want to have a really strong password. That's going to be key. You also want to monitor and place alerts on all of your accounts. So if a big chunk of money is withdrawn or if your credit card is charged, you're going to be notified immediately. Now, if your identity is stolen, you want to call the companies where you know the fraud occurred, and also, of course, place a freeze on your credit as well. But really tough, you just cannot. It won't stop.
No. I've gotten to a habit of always looking at my checking account recently. So it's like every other day. Not every day, but yeah, sometimes you notice a few things.
Yeah.
Mahsa, thank you for bringing that to our attention. If you have a story that you'd like Mahsa to investigate, let her know by scanning the QR code there on your screen. You may see your story on the air.